Hello everyone. Today we will look at the approximate methods of solution. So far we have been looking at rigorous solutions by using similarity methods and solving the resulting similarity equation by the shooting technique and other numerical methods. Now we will introduce a approximate way of getting solution to different configurations. Maybe flow without pressure gradient like the flat plate case, or including the pressure gradient. For all of these cases we can get approximate solutions by making suitable approximations to the velocity and temperature profile. So in the last class we had derived the integral form of the momentum and the energy equations. Okay, so the generic form including the pressure gradient, and finally we expressed the momentum integral equation in this particular form. So where this includes momentum thickness, which is nothing but this is the momentum integral sitting inside this, and the displacement thickness, which is the displacement integral here. Okay, so if you consider flat plate case where your free stream velocity doesn't change with the position, you can neglect this complete term right here, and therefore this is a more familiar form which you have been using in your earlier heat transfer class to solve with approximate methods. So you will have only the momentum thickness. So this is the rate of change of momentum thickness along the axial direction will balance the shear stress. Okay, so this is wall shear stress basically. So this is basically the momentum integral equation, very important equation. And why we are using the integral form here is that we will guess some approximations for velocity in terms of some polynomials, maybe linear or quadratic, cubic, fourth order, whatever. We will substitute that into this and we will integrate it out over the entire boundary layer thickness, and we will find an expression for calculating the boundary layer thickness delta from here. The same way we can also integrate the energy equation across the boundary layer, and this is the resulting energy integral equation that you get. And once again we can make an approximation, guess a value of guess a profile for temperature, whichever profile that you want to guess, substitute here, integrate it out, and then you get a resulting equation in terms of the thermal boundary layer thickness delta T. So with that we will get an expression for delta T. Therefore with that we can use that to calculate the wall shear stress, skin friction coefficient, heat transfer coefficient, and your Nusselt number. Okay, so this is how our approach will be. Okay, and yesterday we did this for the flow problem. We guessed initially a linear profile. Okay, so linear profile of the form u is equal to a plus by, and finally when we plug in, the profile comes out very simply as u by u infinity is equal to y by delta. Okay, so we were putting boundary conditions to satisfy this particular profile and determine the constants a and b. So that is at y equal to 0, u equal to 0, and at y equal to delta, u equal to u infinity. Okay, and when we use the linear profile, so that means we have assume that now the variation in the boundary layer is completely like this. Okay, which is totally unlike the solution what Blasius got. Okay, this is your delta and this varies from 0 to u infinity. Okay, but even in spite of this big assumption, when you substitute this into the momentum integral and determine an expression for delta, we got the expression for delta to be 3 point delta by x is 3.47 by square root of Rex. Okay, compare this to the Blasius solution where delta by x is 5 by square root of Rex. Okay, but still this is a reasonable way to get started to get an order of magnitude of the boundary layer thickness. Okay, so this is about 31% less than the exact solution, and so was your local variation of skin friction coefficient, which came out to 0.576 by square root of Reynolds number. The actual value was 0.664. Okay, so this is about 13% less than the exact solution. Okay, so then what we did, we improved the profile assumption from a linear profile to a cubic profile. Okay, so we assumed a profile something like A plus by plus cy square plus dy cube. So now that it is a higher order polynomial, we need to satisfy more boundary conditions to determine these additional constants, and apart from these two boundary conditions, these are the most important boundary conditions in terms of the order of relevance. Okay, so you need to first satisfy no slip at the wall and the condition at y equal to delta, and apart from that we have also used that at y equal to 0 d square u by dy square equal to 0, which comes from the momentum equation at the wall. Okay, also at y equal to delta, the condition du by dy equal to 0 has to be satisfied. Okay, so these four conditions have to be satisfied in this particular order, and with that you will get a profile which is u by u infinity is equal to y by delta minus y by 3 by 2 y by delta minus 1 by 2 y by delta the whole cube. Right, this was what we saw yesterday, and if you plug in this velocity profile now instead of the linear profile into the momentum integral, integrate it out across the boundary layer thickness, we found that the resulting boundary layer thickness is actually improving a great deal. Now from 3.47 here we finally reach a value which is 4. Anybody remember? 4.64. Okay, so which is 7% less than the exact, but it's a very close to the exact solution. Okay, the same way with the skin friction coefficient, if you calculate this wall shear stress and therefore the non-dimensional skin friction coefficient, this value comes out to be 0.646. Okay, which is also very close, 3% less than the actual. Okay, therefore you can see the higher order polynomial is definitely better than using a linear polynomial, and you can also see that it's important to satisfy all these four boundary conditions if you want to get a reasonably accurate solution. Okay, so especially at the wall you have to also satisfy that curvature equal to 0, and at y equal to delta du by dy has to be 0. Okay, shear stress has to be 0 at the interface. So therefore these are the important things. Now the question you may ask is whether if you go to 4th order or 5th order polynomial, if we can we get a more closer solution? It need not be. Okay, because these are the four most important boundary conditions to be satisfied, and if you are introducing additional constants and polynomial, so you have to introduce higher order derivatives to be 0. Okay, nothing more than that. For example, if you introduce an additional constant, you have to say d square u by dy square equal to 0, and further then d cube u by dy cube at y equal to 0 is 0, and so on. Okay, so they are relatively less important, and therefore you will find you will not get a significant improvement beyond this. In fact, using quadratic polynomial will in fact even deteriorate the solution. Okay, that is also because of the fact in quadratic case you use this boundary condition at y equal to delta, okay, rather than using this boundary condition, because you have only up to quadratic term, you cannot take derivative up to the second order, you have to take up to first order, apply it. So therefore you do this before applying this, and this is a very important boundary condition. Okay, so to be satisfied, so which is not applied in the second order polynomial case, and therefore the second order polynomial will not be as accurate. Maybe in my opinion, I think if you do the calculations, it may come out to be somewhat even worse than the linear polynomial. okay, and definitely not anyway close to the third order polynomial. Okay, so this is what we did yesterday with the flow solution. So today we will look at such kind of approximations for temperature for a flat plate case. Okay, so so now we will look at the thermal boundary layer on an isothermal flat plate. So apart from the development of the velocity boundary layer, now you also maintain a temperature, fixed wall temperature, which is uniform, and this is your coordinate x and y. So your velocity boundary layer grows and your boundary layer thickness keeps increasing with the axial location. Now when you apply this T wall is constant, it need not mean that you are heating all the way from the leading edge. Okay, so you can, for a more generic case, you can actually not heat the initial portion. Okay, so this could be what is called the unheated starting length. Okay, and you can start the heating after some certain distance, so that distance will be x naught. Okay, so this x naught is your unheated length. Okay, in order to get a generic solution, for the case where your x naught equal to 0, the plate is completely heated right from the beginning. Okay, now in this case the boundary, the velocity boundary layer may grow all the way from the leading edge, but the thermal boundary layer will not grow unless it sees the wall temperature. Okay, so therefore it will start from here and it will grow. Okay, so this is your delta T as a function of x. Okay, so depending on the case, whether your Prandtl number is greater than 1, much greater than 1, or approximately 1, or much lesser than 1, once it starts growing, so this boundary layer may overtake the momentum boundary layer thickness. Okay, so if your Prandtl number is much greater than 1, so in that case this will be lower than this. Okay, the momentum boundary layer thickness will be growing at a much faster pace, so this will not be able to catch up. Okay, now for the case when your Prandtl number is much lesser than 1, so then you will find that this will rapidly overtake, and finally somewhere here your thermal boundary layer thickness will be greater than exceeding the momentum boundary layer thickness beyond a certain position. Okay, if your Prandtl number is equal to 1, so they will be both growing at the same rate. However, this is already shifted here, so once again this will never be able to meet up to the growth of the momentum boundary layer. Okay, so these are certain things that you should know very clearly for sure, for which Prandtl number case how the rates of the growth of the either boundary layers appear. Okay, so right now we will consider a case where your Prandtl number is greater than 1. Okay, we can also use the integral method for the other case where your Prandtl number is much lesser than 1, but we'll start with this particular case. So let us now also assume directly a third degree polynomial for temperature something of this sort. Now you have to tell me which are the boundary conditions that can be applied to satisfy this. Okay, y equal to 0, t equal to t wall. Okay, this is still dimensional. Okay, I am not going to non-dimensional. Okay, and then y equal to delta t. Okay, so t equal to t infinity, because if you look at, suppose you are assuming that your t wall is greater than your t infinity, so this is your t T infinity, this is your T wall. Okay. So similarly U infinity, T infinity, the same way with the velocity boundary layer also. So this is your U infinity, this is 0. So we need two more boundary conditions. Okay, so in y equal to delta del t by del y equal to 0. So you can see that once this reaches T infinity, after that the gradient will be 0, right, after the thermal boundary layer. So at the interface you have to satisfy this interface continuity condition. Continuity in temperature and slope should be continuous. Okay. And then we need one more. Heat flux at the wall, but we don't know. This is a case where we have constant wall temperature. Yeah, the same way if you look at the momentum, the same way that you did for momentum, if you look at the energy equation, if you don't include the viscous dissipation term, so at wall these are 0, therefore d square T by dy square has to be 0. Okay. So you can see that you have 4 boundary conditions, 4 most important boundary conditions, and if you substitute them into the profile, you should be getting a profile something like T minus T wall by T infinity minus T wall will be 3 by 2 y by delta T minus half y by delta T the whole cube. Now we can define this as my non-dimensional temperature theta, which I also defined in the similarity solution. Okay. So this is the resulting non-dimensional temperature profile. Just like I have a non-dimensional velocity profile, exactly the same expression, only in term rather than boundary layer thickness, here you have the thermal boundary layer thickness delta T. Okay, the same cubic approximation. So the next step will be to substitute this into the energy integral and do the same procedure that we did for the momentum integral. Just a little bit I am going to rewrite the energy integral in terms of non-dimensional temperature theta. Okay. So right now this is my T infinity minus T. I can express this in terms of theta as d by dx one minus theta. Also I can multiply and divide by u infinity, so u by u infinity, and I can transform my variables from y space to eta space, where I am going to define a variable eta subscript t as y by delta t. Okay, so this is not the similarity variable. Okay, it is just some notation that I am giving here. Okay, coincidentally this is also for the similarity solution the similarity variable, exactly related as y by delta t. So I am just transforming in terms of eta. So this will be dy by d eta into d eta. So dy by d eta is nothing but your delta t, which will come out, and the limits of the integral 0 to delta t will now become 0 to 1. So you have d eta t. All right. On the right hand side, of course, you multiplied and divided by u infinity, so that I will take it to the denominator on the right hand side. This will become alpha by u infinity, and dt by dy I will write in terms of theta and eta. So this I can substitute in terms of theta, so this will be d theta by d eta into d eta by dy. Okay, so d theta by d eta okay, so here I have to be, yeah, I think it's fine. So at eta equal to 0, this is eta t equal to 0 into d eta by dy, which is again 1 by delta t. I will keep the delta t here. Okay, so this is the non-dimensional form of the energy integral. Let me call this as number 1. Okay, everybody is clear? Okay, so now this is theta, so 1 minus theta will be what? T minus T infinity by T wall minus T infinity. Is that right? So I can just substitute for T infinity minus T. Okay, so that is 1 minus of 1 minus theta, and on this side dt by dy should be minus d theta by dy. Okay, so minus minus cancels on both sides. The T wall is a constant. Okay, so is that right? See, okay, so T infinity minus T, now I can write it as minus of 1 minus theta into T wall minus T infinity. Okay, so T wall and T infinity, they are constants, so minus of T wall minus T infinity d by dx 0 to delta t into 1 minus theta u dy. Okay, on this side I have dt by dy is nothing but minus d theta by dy. So this is minus alpha d theta by dy at y equal to 0 into you have T wall minus T infinity. Okay, so I think now this cancels. All right. So now the rest of the things is I am multiplying, dividing by u infinity, and this is u by u infinity here, and the other u infinity I am taking to the denominator here. Okay, and I am transforming from y to eta t. That's all. Okay. Any doubts? I hope everything is clear. So if you have any doubts, please let me know. I am going a little bit fast, assuming that you could follow. All right. So with this is the final expression, because we have in terms of theta the profile and also u by u infinity. So therefore we can directly substitute that into this expression. So if you do that, so now let me erase this. So substituting cubic temperature and cubic velocity profiles into 1 so d by dx delta t 0 to 1. So my cubic temperature profile is now 1 minus theta, so that is 1 minus 3 by 2 eta t minus half eta t cube. Okay, so I can write it as 1 minus 3 by 2 eta t, and minus of minus is plus half eta t cube. Okay, this is my temperature profile 1 minus theta, and what is my velocity profile? 3 by 2. Let me also define the same way I defined eta t. Let me define eta, where eta equal to y by delta. Okay, so my velocity profile can be written as 3 by 2 eta minus 1 by 2 eta cube. okay. So into d eta t, so this is integrated over d eta t, okay. So this is my left hand side. On the right hand side, yeah, on the right hand side now, what is d theta by d eta t, okay. So this is my theta, d theta by d eta t at eta t equal to 0, 3 by 2, that is it, okay. So 3 by 2 into alpha by delta t into u infinity. Okay. So this is therefore the final expression after we substitute. Now we have to simply integrate it out. Before we integrate it, we have to write eta in terms of eta t, because eta and eta t are both connected, okay. So therefore what we are going to do is we are going to introduce a variable, another non-dimensional variable, I will call this as zeta, which is nothing but the ratio of the thermal boundary layer thickness to the momentum boundary layer thickness. So since this is the ratio of this and this has to be a function of Prandtl number, okay, because this is a ratio of the two boundary layer thicknesses. So therefore since I define my eta as y by delta and eta t as y by delta t, you can also express this as the ratio of eta t and eta, okay. So this will be nothing but eta by eta t, okay. So now therefore I can substitute eta as the zeta into eta t, okay. So this can be substituted into this and we can write this as d by dx. So I can write this as delta t, and this zeta can be taken out of the integral because it is fixed for at a particular y location, okay. So we need not now integrate it, whereas in this case eta is a function of y, okay. So that therefore that has to be integrated across the boundary layer. Now zeta is fixed value at a given x location, so therefore it can be taken outside the integral. So this will be delta t zeta, and inside the integral you have 0 to 1 minus 3 by 2 eta t plus 1 by 2 eta t cube into 3 by 2, this is again eta t minus 1 by 2 eta t cube d eta t, okay. So I am just substituting eta as z into eta t. So okay, so this should actually be written as, yeah, so this is zeta here, this should be zeta cube, okay. So I just skipped one more step, okay. So on this side you can retain the terms as it is. So now you can integrate it from 0 to 1, so integrate it with respect to eta t, okay. So if you do that, I am not now going to do step by step, but I will so this should come out to be d by dx, and delta t, if zeta if you take common, this should become 3 by 20 minus 3 by 280 zeta square, okay. So this zeta cube term we can write it as zeta common out and zeta square inside. On this side you have 3 by 2 alpha by u infinity delta t, okay. So if you integrate it, you can do that yourself. So each of these terms you have to multiply and integrate it, okay. So you have terms here eta, here eta square, here eta power eta t power 4, again eta cube, eta t power 4, eta t power 6, Okay, so you have to integrate each of them between 0 to 1. So finally the resultant solution will be independent of eta t, and this is what you will get. Okay, so from here we can make an approximation. Now already I said this is for a case where Prandtl number is greater than 1. If you make the approximation, so far we have not introduced any approximation on the Prandtl number. Okay, so if you now bring in the approximation that Prandtl number is greater than 1, here if Prandtl number is greater than 1, what should be delta t with respect to delta? Less. So therefore your zeta should be less than 1. Okay, so for Prandtl number much greater than 1, your zeta should be much lesser than 1. Okay, so if you bring in that approximation, you can neglect the higher order terms in terms of zeta. Okay, they are very, very small. So therefore if you do that, if you retain only the most important term, most significant term will be the first term. So this will be 3 by 20 into zeta delta t. Once again I can write delta t as zeta into delta. So therefore this has become zeta square delta. On this side I am taking 3 by 20 and factoring it out, this will become 10. Okay, so this cancels, this becomes 10 alpha by u infinity, and once again delta t I can write in terms of zeta and delta. So finally I am reducing the entire equation to an equation only in terms of delta and zeta. Okay, so I know now the expression for delta coming from the solution to the momentum integral equation, which I can substitute into this, and now I will have an ordinary differential equation in terms of the unknown zeta. Okay, so I think with that I will be able to calculate also my thermal boundary layer thickness. So this is my equation. So if I substitute for the cubic velocity profile, delta was 4.64 square root of nu x by u infinity. Okay, so if I substitute this value of delta into this, and if I expand this particular ODE, so this will be zeta cube plus 4 by 3 x d zeta cube by dx. This should be equal to 0.929 by Prandtl number, where Prandtl number is equal to mu by alpha. This is what you will finally get as the ordinary differential equation. So I am just expanding this particular term right here. Okay, so what I am doing is I am taking this delta here. Okay, I am saying this as 1 by 3 into d by dx delta cube. Okay, if you want me to explain this, I will say, so this can be written as 1 by 3, or I can say this as d by dx 1 by 3 delta cube zeta cube delta is equal to 10 alpha by u infinity into delta. Okay, I think should be right. So now I can expand this into two terms. So one is zeta cube into d by dx 1 by 3 delta. So delta you can substitute and you can differentiate it, and the other term will be 1 by 3 delta into d zeta cube by dx. Okay, and if you substitute for delta, so you already have delta, you can multiply the entire left hand side by delta, for which you have the expression for boundary layer thickness, and it will simplify. On the right hand side you will have alpha by nu, because you have an expression for nu, okay, here, which will come and you will exactly get a factor of nu by alpha in the denominator, which is nothing but the Prandtl number. So couple of steps which you can do yourself, I am just simplifying that. Once you simplify, you will get, this is your final ordinary differential equation. Okay, so this is very straightforward to solve. Okay, this is a non-homogeneous ODE, so you can find two solutions. One is your complementary function, which is the solution to your homogeneous ODE, and a particular integral, assuming that some particular solution exists, you substitute, so you will get those two solutions which you can add, and that solution will be finally zeta cube should be Cx power some constant C x power minus 3 by 4 plus 0.929 by PR. So this is your complementary function, and this will be your particular integral. So this is your solution for zeta. Okay. So once you determine the solution, now we have to determine this constant. So therefore we should give a boundary condition for zeta. Okay. So that is, we know for the generic case at x is equal to x naught, your zeta should be 0, right. So if you put that condition at x is equal to x naught, my zeta equal to 0. Okay, so what will be the constant? The constant will, can you substitute and let me know what the constant comes out to be? Minus 0.929 by PR, and this will be x naught power minus 3 by 4, which will go to the other side. This will become x naught power 3 by 4. Okay, so therefore the final solution for zeta can be expressed as 0.976 by PR to the power 1 by 3, 1 minus x by x naught minus 3 by 4, the whole raised to 1 by 3. Okay, so I am substituting for C into this expression right here, and I will get the final expression for zeta. Okay, so now this is done. Therefore we now know the thermal boundary layer thickness expression, because zeta is nothing but delta T by delta, and delta is already known, so we can find the expression for delta T. And to derive a specific case, okay, for the case where you don't have the unheated length, that is you start maintaining a wall temperature condition right from the beginning at x equal to 0. Okay, so for the case where x naught equal to 0, okay, so this is x naught by x to the power 3 by 4, so this will go to 0, and therefore your zeta will be simply 0.976 divided by Prandtl raised to the power 1 by 3. Okay. Also for the case where there is no unheated length, and it is heated right from the beginning, for a given Prandtl number, the ratio of delta T by delta will be constant, because Prandtl number is a constant. Okay, so therefore the ratio of delta T by delta will be constant. Therefore you can see from this expression, for a given Prandtl number, the zeta will be actually a constant. Okay, if you don't have an unheated length. If you have an unheated length, you can see zeta is also function of the position. Correct? Makes sense, right? Because if you heat it right from the beginning, both the boundary layers grow according to the Prandtl number, and at any cross section, at any section, axial location, the ratio of the boundary layer thicknesses will be such that it is a constant. Whereas if you maintain a starting length, heated length, unheated length, then you can see at different locations the ratios will become different. Okay, so that is what is coming out of these expressions. So for the case where you don't have unheated length, this is your expression. So with this we can calculate the heat flux minus k dt by y equal to 0. So dt by dy at y equal to 0 can be written as of course if you remember your definition of theta, T minus T wall by T infinity. Okay, so you can write this as d theta by dy at y equal to 0, and multiplied by T infinity minus T wall. Okay. So this will be minus, of course. So minus, so I'm going to write this in terms of T wall minus T infinity. Okay, again you can make a transformation. So d theta by d eta into d eta by dy. Okay, so you can run, this is eta t equal to 0. So and d eta by dy. So what is d eta by dy? Your eta t is equal to y by delta t. So 1 by delta t. So that will be 1 delta t in the denominator here. Okay, and d theta by d eta, eta t at eta t equal to 0. This is nothing but 3 by 2. Okay, so therefore this can be written as q wall double prime as 3 by 2 k by delta t into T wall minus T infinity. Okay, so from this everything else follows. You can define your local heat transfer coefficient as q wall by T wall minus T infinity, which will be 3 by 2 k by delta t, and therefore you can define your Nusselt number locally as h x by k, okay, which will be 3 by 2 x by delta t. Okay, so finally you can substitute the expression for delta t and delta. So already you know that delta by x is equal to 4.76 by square root of Reynolds number, and this is nothing but delta t by delta. So finally for delta t, if you substitute, this should come out as 0.331 into Rex to the power half Prandtl number to the power 1 by 3. Okay, so I think this should come out, and in terms of the unheated starting length, this will also come as a factor 1 minus x by x naught to the power minus 3 by 4 to the power minus 1 by 3. So this will be the expression for the local variation of the Nusselt number. Okay, so for the heated length, for the heated case, right from the beginning, x naught equal to 0, so NUX will become 0.331 Rex power half and Prandtl number power 1 by 3. Now you compare this with the Paul-Lawson solution, similarity solution, that was what, 0.332. So it's very, very close. Okay, so here I am skipping couple of steps. You can just do that yourself. Okay, because you have, this is your delta t by delta. You can write this delta t as zeta into delta, and delta you already have the expression. You can just substitute that into this, and finally you will get a very neat expression in terms of Reynolds number and Prandtl number. Okay, so for the case where you are heating right from the beginning, this is your Paul-Lawson's case. Now you remember, when we did the similarity solution, we cannot make the assumption that you have an unheated length and then get the similarity solution. Okay, the similarity solution was derived based on the assumption that the wall temperature is uniformly applied through the entire length of the plate. Otherwise we cannot derive the similarity solution. So therefore the approximate method, the integral method, gives us a choice to also impose this condition of unheated length. Okay, see, not only it makes our derivation simpler relatively compared to the similarity solution, but also it gives some flexibility in terms of applying variable boundary conditions. For example, we will see later on down the line in a few classes, 3 to 4 classes, that we can use the approximate solution method to take a case where the temperature is varying along the wall, not just something like this. You know, it could be linearly varying, it could be some piecewise constant variation, whatever may be, that can be handled with the approximate solution, okay, which is quite difficult and which cannot be done in fact with the similarity solution. So therefore although this also looks quite tedious, but this can be worked out with the hand, unlike the similarity solution which needs programming to solve the ordinary differential equation, okay. So relatively in terms of the total effort, this is much better than doing complete similarity procedure, and finally you also get a very accurate result in terms of the heat transfer. So we will stop here today, and I just want to also tell you we can also do a similar approximate solution for Prandtl number less than 1, which I am not going to do, but we can make an approximation there, since for Prandtl number much lesser than 1 your thermal boundary layer thickness is going to be far greater than your momentum boundary layer thickness. So therefore you can make a uniform velocity approximation rather than substituting a profile, okay. So the velocities boundary layer is so small that most of the thermal boundary layer will be looking at a uniform velocity, okay. So that is a much simpler case to deal with, and I will give you that as a homework assignment. So in the next class on Tuesday we will look at flows with pressure gradients, where we can apply the approximate solution.